Today, let's make a super meaty, high-protein vegan meatball from ground seitan.
All right, to start with, this is gonna be our ground seitan recipe. If you didn't see the video, we did a full episode on just ground seitan. So this is gonna be kind of like the quick version right here, but same recipe. And it is
1 cup vital wheat gluten, 2 tablespoons nutritional yeast, a tablespoon each of garlic powder and onion powder, 1.5 tablespoons of beetroot powder,
mix those together.
1.5 tablespoons of red wine vinegar,
Yes, you really need it.
1/2 to 3/4 of a cup of water as needed.
Could even be a full cup. I have a cup here. And stir to combine. This is too dry. Better, still too dry. Full cup of water. Get it all off the spoon. Get it all off the bowl too. Give that a bit of a knead. I like to do this on my hands because I don't like to get the beetroot all over my cutting board. Once it starts to hold its shape and firm up a little bit like that, you're ready to cook. And to cook it, I'm gonna be using my Instant Pot. You can also steam it. If you steam it, it takes 1 hour. But I have this really cool steamer basket in my Instant Pot. We're gonna pressure cook it. I don't like to sit it right on there because it just falls through. So parchment paper. I love this. My favorite part of this. When you crumple it up, it lays flat. Put that in the bottom, grab our hunk of seitan, place it in there, put this in the Instant Pot, 30 minutes under pressure. Once it's at high pressure, once it's done, you can just release the pressure and it's good to go for the next step. All right, so our seitan is now pressure cooked. I just wanna throw it out on the cutting board there like that. And normally you would want to let this cool before working with it. I don't live in that world where I have that kind of convenience, so I'm just going to chop it up right now. Look at how crazy that is. In the middle, it looks like it's still rare.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's just the beetroot powder.
Yep. It is cooked though. Rough chopping it. You don't have to get too prissy about it.
Because it's going in the food processor.
That's right. And this is why you let it cool, so that you don't have to use tongs to do this. You could use your hands. But, you know, here we are. Once it's all in the food processor, I'm gonna blitz it up into ground. All right, once we've pulsed it into ground, I wanna get it into a bowl, probably spatula, or my favorite tool, the spoonula. I also like to I just like saying it. Makes me think of the Count from Sesame Street for some reason. I don't know why. Count Spoonula or something. I don't know.
That's Count Chocula.
That's the cereal.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, so we got our ground. What's next?
I gotta get my cheat sheet out. All right, so to that we're going to add 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed.
Now, you can grind this up fresh. Don't use whole. The reason we're using it at all is because what is it, 1 tablespoon? Mm-hmm. When you normally would make meatballs in the olden times, you would use an egg. Well, obviously, we're plant-based, so we're not gonna use an egg. But the flax will form like an egg-like product because it'll form a little bit of tension, and it does help to hold things together.
All right, we need 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. We have that one, and then we have a new one.
Yeah, I eyeball a lot.
Do you need more?
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit more in there. If you put in too much breadcrumbs in this particular recipe, it gets very, very soft. So you don't want to put too much.
All right, now we need some herbs. So we're gonna do a tablespoon of basil, tablespoon of thyme. Is that looks like it?
That's a little more than a tablespoon. Okay. I gotta order more thyme.
Yeah.
We're almost running out of time.
Oh no.
Now you might think this is a lot of seasoning, but here's the thing. Seitan is kind of like tofu. It doesn't have a lot of flavor on its own. Even though there's some seasoning in the seitan itself, we want to really amp that up when you're making meatballs.
We like to have flavorful meatballs.
How much do we need?
2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast.
Okay. Which the nutritional yeast is a little bit of a conditioner. It also acts as a bit of a binder, but it also adds umami and, like, you know, if you used to put Parmesan cheese in the meatballs, there you go.
Salt and pepper to taste.
I'm just gonna do like a good sized pinch, maybe 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Salt, this is where kind of optional. If you don't want to put salt in, you don't have to. I'm gonna use a little bit. You could even use a little bit of soy sauce if you really wanted to. I'm probably gonna go with like 3/4 of a teaspoon. I like them to be a little bit, a little bit flavorful that way. Now I wanna mix this up.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of stuff in here, and I may not even need the last ingredient that she's about to tell me about. But then again, maybe I will.
Because we just got this out of the steamer, it still has a good amount of residual moisture.
Yep. Yeah, if I had let this come to room temperature, it might be drier. So you might need, like I have some veggie broth over there that we're gonna add just a tiny bit to be able to bind these together. It'll also cool it down so I can handle it.
If you made your seitan the day before, you might need a 1/4 to a 1/2 cup of veggie broth.
Yeah, 1/2 cup would be a lot. Just a few tablespoons is all I really needed this time. But that is starting to look like a really nice meatball mixture. Just want to get everything equally distributed because I have a lot of nutritional yeast just dry in there still. Now, on to shaping and cooking. We're gonna air fry these, which is basically the same thing as baking. It's just a slightly different method. So if you wanted to bake them, you can bake them at 350 in the oven for, start checking on them after about 20 minutes, flip them around, make sure that they don't sit in one spot. But we are going to air fry them. So let's get the air fryer out. Our air fryer has a nice, wide, shallow pan. Really, really easy to do meatballs in. It's the Typher Dome. We could put a link to it in the description. They sent us this a while back and it's been fantastic.
We actually did a full video on reviewing this and we love it and haven't got a new air fryer since that release. In fact, we've been offered multiple different air fryers and we're like, we love this one so much. We really don't want a new one.
Yeah, they have a new, deeper one and they wanted to send us. I'm like, first, I don't want a second air fryer and I really love the Dome. So if you make a new version of that, let's talk. Now, one trick that I have for shaping meatballs, and I learned this way back in the day, is to get a little bit of cool water in a bowl and wet your hands because otherwise it'll stick to you. So just like that. And I'm gonna make like golf ball size meatballs today, not too big. And I'm just kind of pressing it together and then I'll give it a bit of a shape. If you try to make them too big, first they're gonna cook oddly and they could flatten out. So I just make kind of like that. Actually, that's more like a ping pong ball. That's not really a golf ball. I gotta get my balls straight. All right, so I'm just gonna shape these up and we'll show you what to do next. All right, so we ended up getting 14 meatballs out of it this time. It ranges anywhere from like 12 to 15 or so. And this is gonna go into the air fryer for 20 minutes at about 355 on air fry on our fryer. And I'm gonna flip them over halfway through. If you're baking them, you probably need to go a little bit longer, probably gonna be a half an hour to 40 minutes, but still at like 350 because unless you have the convection oven or fan, you know, it just takes a little bit longer. But check them because you're looking for a nice crispy outside, but not like burnt, okay? You don't want it to be like charcoal. All right, that's just bad. All right, so after 10 minutes, I'm just gonna make sure they're not stuck to the bottom and flip them around, just kind of move them around. They're not done, and you can see there's a little bit of browning here and there. They look pretty good. And then they go back in for another 10 minutes. All right, so 10 more minutes. Our meatballs, they are done. Now at this point, you could just put them in the fridge, let them sit for a while. You could eat them, which we're gonna try one in a minute. You could also throw them into the meat sauce that we made last week, and we'll link to that too, because that's my favorite way to do this. There's nothing better than spaghetti and meatballs in meat sauce, in my opinion. But anyway, we're gonna take some pictures and make the opening clip that you've already seen, and we'll be back in a sec. And now it's time to eat one. All right, so I'm just gonna grab one of these guys. They have a nice crispy outside, and then they should be soft in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful, lovely texture in the middle. Perfect. We don't even need forks. I'm just gonna use my fingers.
These smell fantastic.
It really does.
Oh. Now on their own, the outside is a little chewy, but that is perfect for putting in a sauce because if it didn't have that protective coating on the outside, they just turn to complete mush.
Right. And in the middle, they have that meatball kind of sponginess to them, but the flavor is beautiful. Like it really is very similar to what I remember meatballs being like in a previous life. Let's call it that. Storage options on these. At this point, you can take these right now, throw them in the fridge and keep them for a week. You can freeze them, keep them for months. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna put them into the sauce that's right there, and we're gonna have them for dinner tonight. These can sit in that sauce for a while. The outside, like Derek said, will soften up just a little bit and be a little bit less chewy, but they will actually soften the meatballs themselves as well. So if you wanted to keep them a little bit more firm, put them in the fridge for a while, let them firm up, and then throw them in at the last minute just to heat through. That's another way to do it, but we're probably gonna be eating soon enough that I'm just gonna throw them right in the sauce. But make this. These are awesome, so easy to do. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on The Bistro.